Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Bob Phibbs, the Retail Doc. Hey, I thought I'd just jump in here real quick and ask you a question. Are you confusing activity with training? You know, an awful lot of people right now are struggling in retail, right? There's not as much traffic as there once was. And I'm seeing a lot of people posting, particularly on LinkedIn and some other social networks, getting the crew together and we're clapping and we're doing kickboxing or whatever. And it's rooted in science. Don't get me wrong. Tony Robbins said a long time ago that change the state, you change the attitude. So there's a lot that's right about doing that. The challenge is it's not really training. And so me getting all my crew together and saying, tell me something great about today, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it, except that what have you done to train them what to do? And then ultimately, why aren't you using some of that time to role play with them? I think that so many times a lot of people avoid role play because they say, oh, I hate doing it because it's so poorly, people poorly think it through, right? They go through and they think that role play feels like a test, which a lot of times it is. It's almost like a mystery shop. Oh, you did this and this wrong, but that's not the point of either one of them. The point of role play is to see a chance for them to practice where it's safe before they have a chance to say something stupid or do something stupid, right? It's a safe environment where hopefully the manager's not going to beat them down. Just like mystery shops, if you've actually gone through and you come up with a sales process and then you go through and you mystery shop it, well, then you're actually just connecting the dots to make sure that you're inspecting what you're expecting. And that's brilliant too, but that's another post. We're not talking about that this morning. So I've written this post, 5 things that you can do to use role play, even if you hate doing it. And the link is going to be here. You can actually click and read it. But I think so many times that's where people miss it, is they don't take the time to carefully understand that role playing is just practice. It would be like if you were a musician, you'd be doing scales because you want to get that into your fingers so that you don't have to think about, okay, does my hand go here and do I do that? You don't really want to have to think about that stuff. You think about sports teams doing that, and you think about dance companies and all kinds of things, right? That you just want to get it practiced enough that the body understands what it's supposed to do. And that's the same thing, because if we don't do this, what happens is your employees default to waiting. And the problem with waiting is you're going to wait a long time in an era of COVID, right, between customers. And what happens is the energy level goes down and you're not really engaging the mind. And so what happens is somebody actually does walk in, and then you say one of the 5 stupidest questions you can ask in retail, which is, hi, can I help you find something? Or you ask number 2, which is, hi, how you doing today? Where no one cares either. So the other problem with role play is that the only reason you can do role play is you've actually gone through and explained what you're supposed to do, right? I used to fly over 120,000 miles a year. I don't think I'm going to make that this year. And, the training for all of the pilots is they've got to get in simulator tests because they can take all of the odd things that are going to happen up in the sky and put it in the simulator, and then somebody actually has to deal with it, right? So whether it's going to be an engine goes out, or you hit a bird, or it's too foggy, or whatever it's going to be, you give that one situation and they get to fly it, instead of saying, okay, take the plane up to 40,000 feet, and then we want to drill you on it live. Well, we could kill the passenger and the crew. Well, there's a downside. We don't do that. And yet in a retail store, we don't do that all the time. It's like, go help the customer. Well, what are they supposed to say? Figure it out. And then we say, oh, geez, our conversions are down, our turnover's up. Well, of course it is, because your employees don't know what the rules of the game are. And so instead, we distract ourselves with activity. Yay, happy, happy, happy. Well, that's fine if it's an add-on. It's kind of like that's the frosting on the cake. But the cake, retail is a game of being brilliant on the basics and executing brilliantly over and over and over again. And so when I see a lot of these brands that so many reporters are loving covering, like, oh, another one's going down, you really look at the experience they provided, and how many times, raise your hand, how many times did you say that was an exceptional experience? I railed on Brooks Brothers a couple of times, and they had the felon pose with the employees, can I help you with something? Hands go behind their back and wait like statues. I don't think that was exceptional. I think the merchandise was okay, but I certainly never wanted to go back and experience it again. Certainly not like Wilkes-Bashford in San Francisco, or some of the other great retailers that I patronize. Why is that? Because ultimately, if you don't have a branded shopping experience, people don't feel they matter. People that don't feel they matter don't come back to your brand. And at this time when we're just hearing this onslaught of, oh, everyone's online, everyone wants to go online. Everyone is online because we're in prison in our homes. We can't go out, or it's dangerous to go out. Or if you live in Southern California, you can't even go to the mall because they're locked down still. So this idea that, oh, shopping's changed forever, they're going to keep that. Who wants to scroll through 85 shirts to find one when you're looking for a blue shirt? You want to just go in and see it and feel it. And so the danger is that we cut the training budgets, we cut the number of employees on the floor. Now we've just set ourselves up for an even worse experience. Then we load them up with, and go pick all those orders over there and make sure you're cleaning all that stuff over there. And there's no time to do all that matters, which is being brilliant on the basics. How are you going to engage a stranger, discover the shopper, and make the sale and add on and suggest every time? You need a plan. And if you don't have a plan, you should certainly talk to me, Bob Phibbs, the Retail Doc, because that's the business I'm in. And I can now virtually train your crew live over Zoom, or you can use my online training, SalesRx, which is right there.com. But the most important thing that I want you to get today is you need to role play. And if you've got an issue with it, oh, I don't like it. Oh, I can't do it. Well, then what's the message you're telling yourself? I can't. Look, the reality is retail is in trouble right now. We've got to put it in the future, 6 months out, a year out, and say, I'm going to be there and I'm going to do whatever I have to do right now. And that means you're going to have to go through and look at what are you training to create an exceptional experience for a customer who's willing to leave the prison of their house, right? And get in their car and put on the mask and go shopping. What are you going to do to stand out instead of go through and, well, we're spraying everything. We're spraying everything down. We're locking all the dressing rooms. Oh yeah, that makes it even better for apparel. Do you see what I'm saying? That if we're really committed to making an exceptional experience and to going through and understanding, then we can role play. And even if you're, we're in a time of COVID, you can still role play from 6 feet away, right? You can still do it when you open the shop. The doors open at 10. You get there at 9:30. Everybody's got their coffee or whatever, and they're kind of just hanging out because most of us don't have to clean our own stores or do much else. We just show up and unlock the doors. Perfect time to be doing role play, or on a break, or and there's a lull. There's a million ways you can do it. And if you're selling virtually, you can certainly do it by Zoom. There's a million ways you could do that as well. But the issue is, number one, I don't think a lot of brands are valuing the frontline employees anymore. So we don't go through and think of training them. So we hire people who are already trained from somebody else's brand. And then they bring their bad habits in and ultimately doom your store because you're taking somebody else's bad habits and bring them into yours instead of saying, wow, this is going to be a big deal for us to have a branded shopping experience. What's it going to be like? Everybody's talking about the malls. Oh, malls, no one's going to be around in malls. Why don't the malls come up with a branded shopping experience? How great would that be that every retailer that was in a mall had to go through and well, I can think of using one training program, but go through and have everybody have a sales training program to create an exceptional experience. You know what that would feel like from the time that somebody went to the valet, or they went to the restaurant, or they went to the theater, or they went to the apparel store. You would have this spirit of energy instead of what so many have, which is this feeling of despair. And I'm telling you, we can do this, but I need your help. You need to say it's better here working with us. Quick story about, so I used to be CMO of a coffee franchise. If you ever saw Showtime's Weeds, we were the coffee house that Mary Louise Parker was always drinking out of. Great brand, but that's another post as well. But this one woman, she brought her, who was going to be their manager, to 2-week training of how to put a coffee house together. And at the time we said, we really don't see that this is not a good fit for you. And she's like, oh no, she's really great. She's from Starbucks. So she already knows everything. It's like, yeah, but we don't make things the same way they do. And it's just, no, she's great. It's like, okay. So she goes through and she gets ready to open the store. And we call down there, like, where's the manager? And they say, oh, she's not here. And we talk to the owner, and she says, well, I sort of heard what you were saying when we were in training, but it was like a day before they're about to open. And I said, oh, you're not making the, the latte the way that we're supposed to. And she goes, this is better. This is the way they do it at Starbucks. It's much better than what they taught you. And she said, at that moment, I heard it like, oh, she's already judged that we're not doing the right thing. And I got rid of her. And it's like, exactly. Well, that's a really extreme example, but how many times are you putting up with people who have bad customer experience, bad attitude, because you're just damn lazy? I love to train. I love training. I love retail. I love brick and mortar. Most of you are dealing with people who don't love brick and mortar, who are digital natives, who are telling you no one will be back. It's all crap. Holidays are going to be terrible. No one wants to wear a mask. No, everyone's going to be infected again. And then you wonder why you're hopeless. Here's how you build hope. It's real simple. Come up with a branded experience. What's it going to feel like when they walk into your store, when they make that move to come in there? How are we going to execute it? How are we going to train our employees in bite-sized bits so that they can go through and create that exceptional experience and carry it forward with everyone? And then how are we going to get them to rave about us is because we're going to do an exceptional experience. We're not going to be buying influencers or all this other garbage where we're just saying, oh, it's a distraction, or offering coupons. We're really going to connect with somebody in a new way because we are the green shoots of the retail economy. If that's your mission, then you do it. And you know what you add to it? Role play. Because role play makes sure that you're not practicing on your customers where it really can hurt you. And that's why I wrote this blog. So you can see the URL. It's in the post up there. I think that will help you. I'm going to take a quick look. Looks like a lot of you have questions this morning. I didn't expect that. Hey, Brianna, glad you're here from Western Australia. Sweet. Sergio, I'm glad to know you're having fun. That's great. P. Carson, our stores are recovering since COVID-19. Optimistic. Absolutely. That's the only way to do it. Robert, I went to Best Buy. The shelves are empty. What's the salesman supposed to say? Hey, well, if you're the salesman, your goal is still to have you still have the encounter, right? You can still go through and have the shopping experience. Somebody coming in there, there's still a connection that you need to make with your heart. And if you don't know how to do that, then the problem you're going to run into is guy walks over. Where are all these? Oh, yeah, we're out really having a tough time getting supplies. Everyone's having a tough time to get supplies, Robert. What you have to do is to find a way to make the sale. I don't give a damn. You find a way to make the sale. We used to have managers that were trained in leadership, trained in training, and they gave a damn and they were passionate. And I know there's several of you on LinkedIn that follow me, and I hope that's you. But you know what? People aren't inspecting what they expect. So we're getting dregs, and then we're saying, well, what can you expect? You know, it's COVID, you know, we've got to wear our masks. Masks are distraction. Your goal is to make a sale and to interact with everybody in an authentic, unique way. The party is in the aisles, my friend. It is not over on your smartphone or in the back room. Brianna, have you got role play relevant for transition times? Things are not that different. So here's the thing, Brianna. I go back to it is a game of being brilliant on the basics. Either I'm going to show you that you're worth my time and I'm going to open my heart to you, or I'm not. I'm either going to go to the, hi, can I help you find something? How you doing today? Oh, you know, you're wearing your mask. Make sure you sanitize. And I'm distracted from what's supposed to happen. You're supposed to connect with an open heart. You're supposed to make someone feel so good and invitational that they open their heart to you. And even with 6 foot distancing, they're still thrilled to be there. I have clients who are up 20 and 30% right now. And I love to say it's all me, but it isn't. It's all them. They have figured it out. It's like, oh, I have to come to work in a different experience, show up in a different way. But it doesn't mean we have to somehow get rid of all of it and suddenly say, well, you know, Bob, it's COVID. You know, it's COVID. I went to one of my earliest clients was a Best Western hotel, and we went to there was a recession going on. We went to their annual conference, and there the CEO started off with a picture of the world. Think of like Sherman Williams paint, you know, with the paint dripping all over it, except it was all ice. And he's like, no one's traveling because of recession, and I wish I had something good to say, but you know, it's gonna be really tough for the next 2 or 3 years. I'm like, what an idiot. Why would you say that to people? They are coming with hope. And that's what my message to you this morning is, that your customers are coming with hope. And if they're not able to get there yet in California, they're going to be back. We know that. Look at Europe, look at China, look in other areas, even in New York City, where we lost 30,000 people. People are dying to get back. That's the wrong word. People are anxious to get back out there and live their lives again. We have to remember that, right? Brianna, I like that, Sergio. You're a watcher or a doer. I love that. That's great. That's great. Sergio, I have issues building connections with GC. I'm not quite sure what that is. Oh, I love that, Kathy. Masks are not, I got to highlight that. That is perfect. Masks are not made for hiding behind. I love that. That may be my new mantra. You know, that was always my thing, is you knew that the employees who were hiding behind the racks were the ones you needed to get rid of. And yet they'd have an excuse. Oh, I'm straightening. Yeah, they're not. Karen, we are killing it. We sell on Facebook Live and spend time talking to the customer about basics. If you have to demonstrate how to open the package, then that's what you do. I love that, Karen. That's exactly it. I think that's it, because we are getting too comfortable being miserable. Let me say that again. We're being too comfortable being miserable. And so this idea that, oh, the freedom of shopping online, it's not. You're in a prison. You're in a box. It's not the same. We are being sold a bill of goods. And so those of you who work at the big chains, whether that's Nordstrom or Macy's or any of the other big ones or the regional chains or the smaller boutiques, just remember your goal is to make a connection and make the damn sale. That's what you're here for. So there you go. I think that's it. I only want to do this video to get you to check out my post 5 things you can do to not hate role play, and that link is going to be there today. You can let me know in comments what you think of this. Do you do role play right now? Have I changed your mind on it? Or are you just adamantly going to say, I'm not going to change and I'm just going to wait? Because if that's you, it's going to be a hard next 6 to 12 months, because change is upon us, but it's change to get back to being brilliant on the basics. None of how we engage a stranger, discover the shopper, or make the sale has changed. As long as you open your heart and you role play that and you give them training, you'll be successful. I'm Bob Phibbs, the Retail Doc. Thanks for joining me today. And again, let me know in comments what you're thinking. I'll respond to those as well. Thank you. Bye.